that? Still bang 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 bang. Hey, hey,
all them a try, them can't deny.
Young boss, nation, young boss, young boss, is there?
Alright, sinners, welcome back to the channel. Yo, today I got for you guys my first ever review. So it's not gonna be perfect, it's not gonna be the best, still working out the kinks, but it's my first review, right? So check it. This is what we're reviewing. Fucking Loki. That's right. I just finished the episode, like, what time is it? It's 10:30 on US time. You know what I'm saying? US time. So that means I finished it like 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, yeah, I finished that at 10 o'clock because I'm going to put you guys on. I was struggling for a little bit, you know what I'm saying, setting up. I'm like trying to figure out what the fuck to do, you know, whether I'm going to put pictures and all that. But I'm going to do that for the next review because it's coming. It's going to come shortly after this one, you know what I'm saying? So I think I would have time, like maybe take a day or two, figure out what I need to do, what I'm going to do for the next review. But while this shit is still fresh in my head, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to do it to get it out now. So essentially, Loki is the fucking greatest Marvel TV show ever. And I don't give a fuck what nobody say. Like, alright, take everything you like about the MCU and take everything you like about TV shows and then merge it. You know what I'm saying? Like, WandaVision was cool. You know what I'm saying? That shit for like a long ass movie than a TV show. But Loki is like, that shit left you on cliffhanger on cliffhanger on cliffhanger till you finally got to the shit. And it's still a cliffhanger, you know what I'm saying? So, this isn't going to be this whole... Alright, my fault, you guys. So something had popped up. Like I was saying, this isn't gonna be this whole fucking bullshit of a storyline. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna start it off with the whole. I meant bullshit of a video. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna start it off with episode by episode because I didn't do it episode by episode to begin with. So I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I did. You know what I'm saying? Like I just finished watching episode. Nah, I started watching it when it first popped up. You know what I'm saying? So I finished the season. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to do the whole overview as best as I can. You know what I'm saying? And like maybe next review I can have the pictures and the slideshow after I figure all that stuff out. I apologize for not knowing it. You know what I'm saying? This was a spur of the moment. You know what I'm saying? But going into it, it's like Loki is a masterpiece. Like straight off, I'm gonna try to do it like in a chronological order in sequence. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna try to make sure I do it step by step by step by step by step by step by step till you get the overall plot as best I can. Right? So, essentially, starting off from episode 1, going into everything else, episode 1 essentially is like, it's the plot. It's the pilot. That's what I meant to say. It's the pilot, you know, letting you introduce you. So you get, it begins where Infinity War. Yeah. No, it begins where, the end game time heist starts. You know what I'm saying? So I think because the first time stone they got was the Tesseract, and that was during the Battle of New York. So the Avengers went to the Battle of New York, and they did whatever they had to do. You know, Cap had to fight itself, whatever the case might be. So after they got the Tesseract, shit happened to where I guess it was if I'm correct, there was 2 Tesseracts. There was 2 of them, if I'm correct. Something about that happened where I don't know, because they got the Tesseract, but I'm not sure if it was the same one that Loki took. But essentially what happened was shit went haywire during the heist, and the Tesseract, because remember they had locked up Loki, not locked up, cuffed Loki, cuffed and chained Loki, because he's fucking crazy as hell and slimy as a motherfucker. So after they cuffed and chained him, they was taking him to I guess a facility in Shield, because it was Shield who did it, to put him away. But what happened was, because the Avengers did the time heist, it fucked up the timeline. So Loki was able to grab the Tesseract because it flew out after the Hulk had to take the stairs because nobody wanted his ass to get on the elevator. You know what I'm saying? So essentially, after Loki picks up the Tesseract and goes wherever the fuck he goes, that's where Loki, the TV show Loki, begins. And it basically starts off where Loki pops up into this like ancient Egypt civilization or somewhere with sand, and he's just over there trying to insert his dominance, you know what I'm saying, and fails miserably. And then the TVA, which is known as the Time TVA, the Time Bureau, it's something else. time, baby, blah blah blah, some bullshit. But they're basically a time bureau. You know what I'm saying? They control the timelines and they make sure everything stays on one course. So what they do is they grab up Loki because he will be called a variant, which is somebody who's separates from what's going on in the actual timeline. So let's say there's like me, and I'm supposed to go get a bacon, egg, and cheese, but I decide to say fuck it. I'm gonna get me a bagel because I'm feeling special today. That will be me branching off from the timeline, and then the TVA will have to come after me because I'm doing something that wasn't written down. You get what I'm saying? So because Loki did that, and you know he just did what Loki does. You know what I'm saying? When he finds an opportunity, he takes it. But I guess that screwed him over and made him a variant. So basically, they bring him in to get processed, and I guess eventually proned, which is them sending you to a void, which I'll explain a little later. But after they prone him, what they do is not after they prone, after they bring him into the time bureau, they basically put him into this long-winded process of getting signed up for him to get prone, or whatever they're gonna do to him, or whatever they was planning to do to him, right? So after that whole process, a gentleman comes in by the name of Mobius, and Mobius, we get introduced to Mobius a little later because he's somewhere in like a church, you know what I'm saying, investigated a branch in the timeline. I'm a branch, yeah, a branch of the timeline. Somebody had fucked up the timeline, a variant. So after he does that, he finds out that they're trialing Loki. So he goes into Loki's rescue because he essentially wants Loki to assist him on this case, which is, I guess, not uncommon because they said he has done it before or he has thought about doing it before. So I guess it's not really uncommon, but it's rare. So he wanted to use Loki as basically a consultant of sorts to assist him with the case. So he stopped Loki from getting prone at the moment. But what it was when Loki had, so basically he tries to get Loki to go with him to be his partner, whatever the case might be. And you know, Loki, this is the first Loki, you know what I'm saying? This is when we just got introduced to Loki. So he, you know, he's a little wary. He's not the Loki we grew to love, you know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, I don't know, you lying to me. I'm a trickster, man. I don't fall for this shit, right? So Mobius goes and shows him essentially what goes down in the Battle of New York with his arrest and everything. Let him know, like, we do know what's going on with you, you know what I'm saying? That you didn't win, you know what I'm saying? You did all this, blah, blah, blah. So Mobius essentially leaves the room, which starts to lead off the best scene ever, which is Loki fucking going through the time, his whole life story, and seeing, oh, he ends up being king of Asgard for a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he ended up being king of Asgard for a little bit. He got banished. Uh, Thor got locked up in space, and he just so happened to be in space with the it's not the Collector, the Grandmaster. I think it was the Grandmaster. Loki ends up being with the Grandmaster. That was during Thor Ragnarok. You know, it's Thor, Loki, Valkyrie, Hulk. They all fighting. Hela. You know what I'm saying? So he helps his brother. You know, all that. They're just going through his whole timeline to eventually leads up to Infinity War, where you see Thanos pulling up on the scene and Loki scared and shit, and Thor's hurt, and you know Loki goes to save his brother, and then you know they have this interaction with Thanos. Is like, I said some cool ass shit. I was like, damn, that nigga cold. That's cold motherfucker right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo. Thanos is the nigga. I'm sorry, Thanos is the nigga. Like, yo. So they have this cold exchange where Thanos basically tells Loki, like, you know, you could have been one of the homies, you know what I'm saying? You could have been one of my underlings. Like, you just had to fuck it up trying to be whatever you was, because you know what I'm saying? And I think he assaulted him on being a god or something like that. You're like, you're not worthy of a title of a god, or like, what's a god to a titan, or like, you saw some bullshit along those lines. Like, it gave him one line. So essentially, after that one line, Thanos snaps his neck. And essentially, Loki's storyline ends there, you know what I'm saying? Where his take plays out, which essentially means that for everybody that thought Loki was gonna live or found a sneaky way to live, he died right then and there. You know what I'm saying? So he did die during Infinity War, but luckily, because of the Battle of New York time heist, he's alive now, so he doesn't live to see that event, I guess, anymore, or whatever the case might be. So after Loki sees that, he has a change of heart. He's still gonna be Loki, still trying to do slimy shit every now and then and often, but not to the extent that he did it before. So that leads into the whole. There's a lot But I'm not gonna get to it like, you know what I'm saying, because we gotta make this a video, you know, it's a review of it. We ain't gonna make it too long, you know what I'm saying. But that essentially leads into the whole Mobius and Loki team up. And when Loki had asked Mobius, well, why is it you want my help? Excuse me, why you want the God of Mischief's help? He goes to say because the person we're chasing is a variant of you, which is a Loki. So, what happens? We get introduced to the variant Loki. You know what I'm saying? We don't know who it is. It's they wearing a robe, and they go to this is the second episode. They go to I guess a medieval fair where she fucks up a group of TVA agents and takes one of them, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That was it. And there's another character. I don't remember her name. It's like B47, B48, some bullshit like that. Like numbers and stuff like that. It's a cool character. But she's a cool character. After that scene, you know what I'm saying, Loki, Mobius, TVA agents pull up on the scene, they investigate it, whatever the case might be. You know, they're going down, oh wait, why is this? Yeah, oh my god, what the hell do you know what I'm saying? Oh my lord. You know what I'm saying? Just going through the bullshit. So essentially, Loki is still being a Loki, you know, he's still trying to sliver his way through certain situations like a snake in the grass. And Mobius is essentially trying to tell him, like, yo, whatever you're gonna do, I know. You need to chill out, work with me, and we can be done. But Loki's still being Loki. So he's like, all right, you know what? So they sit down and he explains that, like, you need to understand, yada, 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 whatever the case might be. Loki still being like, well, what the fuck? I'm like, God, you need to put some respect on my name. So after the events, because I'm a little off, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to mention every little detail, but I'm going to mention the big ones, you know what I'm saying? So essentially, Loki gets into LaRose, you know what I'm saying? And I guess the only reason why Loki falls into place is because he realized everything he had worked for previously means nothing to the TVA. Like, you find out that the Infinity Stones get used as paperweights when they're in the TVA. So they're not that fucking powerful. You know, they're powerful, but only in their respective timelines. You know what I'm saying? So after Loki discovers that, you know what I'm saying, he slowly falls into place, which leads to him slowly helping Mobius in little ways. Like, um whenever he lies and tries to trick Mobius, Mobius catches on and goes, oh, well, he's lying, you know what I'm saying? So he slowly started to understand Loki and his games. Like, he knew before, but now he's really starting to understand it, which is helping him with the variant. Even though the variant is slightly, like, different than Loki. He still have Loki tendencies, but not as bad as our Loki. So that leads into, let me see if I can remember correctly, Loki going out and trying to figure out what's going on with the variant. Okay. Why does the TVA can't find a variant? What does the variant do that the TVA can't see? So he goes through paperwork, he's going, he's studying, and he eventually finds out that in the timelines where apocalypses happen, it doesn't matter what you do, because if it's going to end up destroying and getting wiped out, it makes no sense. Which means if I had the TVA's ability and went to a timeline where apocalypse was happening, you know what I'm saying, and I decided to go on a murder spree, and it's a fucking meteor that's supposed to crash on the earth that kills everybody in 2 hours, it doesn't matter because everybody's gonna die at the end of the day, which it doesn't affect the timeline. So even if, let's say, I murdered 25 people on the just going on some Jack the Ripper shit, killing 25 people because the end times, you know what I'm saying? The timeline is gonna register as a major event, you know what I'm saying? So it allows the so that's what allowed the variant Loki to hide. And the reason that was so big was because the TVA has the ability, the TVA has to monitor branches in the timeline, and every little thing could be a branch, or every big thing could be a branch. You know what I'm saying? And it determines the speed at which the branches are occurring. So that's a big thing, because the fact that you're doing something major and it's not making any indication, because they have the ability to fix the timelines if they know what's going on. The fact that something major, like me going on a murder spree, isn't making a separate branch means that that theory was right. And Loki took more Mobius to Pompeii, where they tested out the theory, and he was like, "Oh shit, you really can do anything when an apocalypse happens." And because of that, they managed to kind of discover the whereabouts of the Loki, where she was hiding at I guess a super futuristic Walmart. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those stores. So because she was hiding, because the Loki was hiding out there. I might have just fucked it up, but fuck it. Because the Loki was hiding out there, they went over there, and we find out that the Loki is actually a girl. You know what I'm saying? Which it turns into a major theory. It turns into like this major thing because we don't know whether this Loki is Loki. Well, we know she's a Loki, but who she becomes, and in the whole overarching MCU, whether she stays a Loki, so she becomes Lady Loki, or if she becomes a Enchantress because she has the ability to enchant. You know what I'm saying? So who she really becomes in MCU is up for grabs. But it was so we find out that the Loki is a girl, and that what she did was after she had beat the shit out of the TVA agents and kidnapped one of them. You know what I'm saying? She had used her enchanting powers to gather information on the TVA and essentially find out how the TVA does what they do from that person, in which she used her old memories against her. You know what I'm saying? Which was major because the TVA believes that they're special individuals born for this cause. While by doing this, she reveals that they have past life, which is conflicting to what they're told, which I'm going to explain in a little bit. So after she does that, and we find out this little bit of detail, you know what I'm saying, Loki goes in, they break off, which I don't understand why the fuck you break off during the op if you're looking for somebody, you know what I'm saying? But they do that, and Loki ends up with B48 or B4, whatever her name is, B something something. So they end up together, and she gets sneak attacked, and Loki's like, "Oh shit, what the fuck?" And he realizes that it's the other Loki. At this point, we don't know it's a girl, but they're hopping through bodies, whatever the case might be, talking through the people that and inhabiting. So her and Loki are having this huge conversation, like, okay, all right, yep, why are you doing this? I'm a Loki, I know what you want, you know the case be, and they're just conflicting and talking. To where we get the reveal that this isn't about our Loki. She has no interest in anything our Loki does. While our Loki is trying to get her on his side, and it's just conflicting, you know what I'm saying? It's just conflicting as hell. So they go at it, you know what I'm saying, before she reveals herself, and after they go at it, then you see the hooded figure goes out and reveals itself, and we see female Loki, and it throws Loki for a shock because even though he's seen the other variants of Loki through the pictures that the Mobius and the TVA was showing him, he hasn't seen one in person, let alone believe that the person had the ability to be a female, the opposite sex. So it throws him off. And he's like, "Oh shit, I'm a girl. That's why you don't think like me." And the other Loki isn't as she's with it as Loki, but not like talkative. Like she's very stoic. You know, like I'm about my business. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. You know, fuck anything else. So they essentially kind of offer each other like, listen, if you're gonna help me, you can help me, but I'm not gonna help you. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case might be. So she does what she's got. She does what she plans to do, which is set off some bombs and stuff at the Walmart, futuristic Walmart, and escape, whatever the case might be. So Mobius and B48, B47. I'm just gonna call it B. They link up. They're running to get Loki because Loki apparently isn't with them, and she stopped Mobius and Loki from going off so she could stay with Loki to keep an eye on him, which she failed miserably. And as they're chasing to get to Loki, Loki sees them and they're like, "Loki, wait, no, stop, don't do it, come on, Loki." And Loki eventually, so the female Loki, whose name is Sylvia, so Sylvia decides to go through a portal, go somewhere, and Loki chases after her. You know what I'm saying? And that's the episode. In episode 3, so I just finished talking about episode 2. In episode 3, I'm speeding up now. In episode 3, they end up in the TVA where Sylvia is running through these motherfuckers to get to somewhere. I think it's to get to the lead, the judge. Is get to the judge. So she's leading through shit, going through motherfuckers. And Loki's sitting there like, well, how the fuck we get back to the TVA? Why are we in the TVA? So I think I got the order correct. They end back in the TVA. They breezing through motherfuckers. He's chasing after. They're doing what they got to do. Uh, let me see. Right. So they're breezing through each other, if I'm correct. And Mobius and them turn back at TVA. Loki gets put into no. They end up in the TVA somehow. And I forget the course of events that occurs in those. But something happens where Loki fucks up Sylvia's plan to kill somebody, and he essentially sends them to another apocalypse. I can't remember what happened before that, but they end up in another apocalypse, and they're together. So now they have to work together to get off the apocalypse and continue whatever plan they're gonna do. And as they're doing that, they're slowly bonding. You know, they're becoming friends, becoming more than friends, whatever the case might be. So they're working together to get off the planet, which leads to some good interaction, good character development, or all that stuff. But some of the major things we learn is that Sylvia got abducted from her timeline as a child, and all she was doing was playing with her toys. You know what I'm saying? I guess she played with her toys the wrong way, or one of her toys was the toy she was playing with. Whatever the case might be, they kidnapped the little bitch because she did something, and I still don't understand what she did wrong, because she wasn't doing nothing but playing with toys in her room. So somehow, some way, that caused a branch in the timeline. So they had to take her out the timeline and put her through trial. And you find out that the person that did it was the judge, which is why she has a vendetta against the judge. And because of that, that's why she ended up in the TVA, because she was going after her. So as they did that, you know, as we find that out, you know, we discover that she ended up escaping for the judge, and this led to the life on the run and his master plan to get back at her in the TVA. And they end up, let me see, yeah. So they end up on a train. They end up on a train because the planet that they're on is destined to blow up. I think it gets hit with meteor, or eternal explosion, some bullshit. It's some apocalypse where we got shit raining down from the sky and then all that stuff. So essentially, they end up on the train to try to get away from all that, because the train leads them to the arc, which is it's the arc. It leads to an arc which is gonna blast them off into space and stop them from dying, whatever the case might be. But they want to siphon the power from the arc to use on one of the gate things at the time the TVA has that allows them to hop through time. So once they siphon it, they can get out of there without having to use the arc. But they know in the process they will be dooming hundreds of people that could possibly get off the planet. But because it's apocalypse, you know what I'm saying, it doesn't really take it doesn't take away from anything, you know what I'm saying, because these people are fated to die anyway. So if they're fated to die, why should we die with them? So as they're on the train, because they sneak on the train, you know, Loki does his thing where he turns into one of the guards and makes it seem like he's got Sylvia as a prisoner, and they're on, you know, they go talk to one of the guys, and one of the guys is like, well, do you have her ticket? Because you still need her ticket. And she enchants him, and that turns to that where they're allowed to get on the train. And on the train is where we have some of the, again, some of the best character development, where the characters are actually interacting with each other. And I'm not talking in terms of, you know what I'm saying, they're physical and touching and all that talking. No, they do that already. But I mean, like, interacting a point where we're deep diving into both the characters, psyches. There we go. We're digging into their psyches, and you see that, like, for starters, Sylvia is just really stoic, just because she hasn't had the ability to really trust anybody, because she's been on her dolo the whole time. So when you're by yourself, it's hard to really form friendships or connections, because you don't need them in the long run. Which she says that she has formed connections, but like not to the extent that we're friends, just to the extent that she's going to use them and get out of there, because that's what she needs them for. You know what I'm saying? She has her fun, or she does her business, and then she's gone, because you're not important. You're just somebody else in a different ass timeline. While in Loki's case, they show that Loki's just really lonely. You know what I'm saying? Like that's his whole big thing. Is he's a lot of things, but his top being he's lonely. He wants to prove himself. He wants to be worshipped. You know, he wants the God title. He wants the benefits with the God title, because the fact that he grew up in Asgard where everybody else is gods in some way, shape, or form, and he's just the god of mischief and a prince. You know what I'm saying? They didn't give him the respect and well love, the way he wanted to be loved, the respect and love he wanted. You know what I'm saying? And it hurt him because it's like every Thor. It came back to Thor where Thor gets all the love and attention from mommy and daddy and everybody else, and Loki feels like he should get the same thing because he's on Thor's level, if not slightly above or slightly below in his eyes. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, whatever way Thor should get treated should be the same way I get treated because I can. You know what I'm saying? Like he wants just the love and admiration that he didn't get on Asgard or he gets when he interacts with anybody. And we find out that, oh yeah, Loki is gender fluid, if I'm correct. Loki is bisexual, so Sylvia asks him about, oh, they must have been princesses, oh, and maybe some princes, and Loki says, yeah, I had a couple of those, you know what I'm saying, but they didn't work out, you know what I'm saying, they didn't give me what I wanted. So we find out Loki is bisexual, which is Loki, you know what I'm saying. It, you know what I'm saying, this nigga Loki does everything. Like, I'm not surprised if the man was asexual, two-spirited, God, like, you know what I'm saying? Just some random shit. Like, it don't matter to me, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it adds to the character because I think the Loki in the comics does the same bullshit and is always doing some random shit, like turn into a girl or a kid or a horse or a monkey or some bullshit. Well, he's just doing sneaky stuff, especially like in his Norse mythology. So it's not too far from the character, which I really do love and enjoy. So it adds more depth to the character because we never got to see real interactions with Loki's backstory or who he is as a person, just outside of being Thor's goofy ass, tricky brother. You know what I'm saying? So after they get through this whole interaction, they end up fighting somebody because they end up fighting a group of guards on the train because Loki ends up having a fun ass time getting drunk because Sylvia was sleepy and fell asleep on him and didn't watch him. So the guards fuck him up, throw him out the train. They have this little conflict because it's like Loki can't just stick to what Loki needs to do, and she can't trust Loki to do that. Maybe is a method to his madness. And before that, there was a quote about love and a dagger, and when he was like, "Love is like a dagger. It's beautiful, but it's also sharp and deadly." You know what I'm saying? All that, and that leads into them kind of finding another way to get to the arc. You know what I'm saying? And essentially, once they get there, wait, hold up. Yeah, so that essentially leads to them walking to the arc, if I'm correct. They end up walking to where the arc is at, and on the journey there, they exchange information about first her abilities. How does the enchantment ability works, and about the TVA, in which they exchange that. Okay, well, she's basically just going to people's psyches and slowly rewriting memories or inserting herself or changing memories, whatever the case might be. And then Loki tells her about how the TVA or no, Sylvia ends up telling Loki, that's the female Loki. Sylvia ends up telling Loki that her enchantment on the guard worked because she had previous memories which conflicted with Loki because Loki had been told by Morbius that the uh agents at the TVA are specially made for that task, which she tells them that can't be possible because they're all variants. That's why they have memories, and I was able to do that to that girl. She was able to do that to the girl. So this ends up being a major plot point. So later on, so when they get to the arc, they're running and fighting to get to the arc before the arc leaves without them. You know what I'm saying? Because they got to get on it to siphon it. But essentially, they fail to get on the arc, and luckily that's a good thing because the arc ends up getting hit by something and blowing up, which stops their means of escape indefinitely. You know what I'm saying? So after that happens, let's see if I can remember the events slowly. That was episode 3, episode 4. TVA. Here we go. The TVA pulls up on them. They're still on the planet, slowly trying to figure ways out, and then the TVA pulls up on them, and I forgot how they pull up on them, but they pull up on them. They kidnap them. They fuck them up, take them in, and we see Sylvia and Loki are back at the bureau, and the chain, you know what I'm saying, which leads to them getting separated. Loki ends up with Mobius. Uh, Sylvia ends up with B28. It will end up with B, and they're all doing their thing. So Loki gets put into this kind of little torture chamber. That's not, excuse me, fuck. It's not a torture chamber. More of it is like a time loop. I got water spilling on me and shit. Like, god damn it, fucking water. Um, uh, yeah, Loki gets put into a time loop. So he's going through. I guess it's Sif. I think it's Sif that was beating his ass. So Sif goes in there, slaps him up, beat his ass, let him know you're a dickhead for cutting my hair. And there's a time loop, and that eventually leads with Loki like telling her like, "Yo, okay, I'm sorry. I wanted to be liked. I thought it was funny. I apologize." She doesn't hit him or nothing. Like she constantly does. She just says, "You're always gonna be alone, Loki," and walks off. And Mobius comes in to let him know, "What did you learn your lesson? You ready? You ready to talk? Ready to tell me the truth?" Well, on the flip hand, Sylvia's got it easier because B remembers her being in her brain and is like, where did all these memories come from? You know what I'm saying? Because remember, B was with Loki the first time we get introduced to the variant Loki, Sylvia, and she pops her off so she could talk to Loki, and she ends up in her brain for a little bit. So that fucks her over in the long run, which leads to B defecting from the TVA and teaming up with Sylvia, which is why we see that next time we get to Sylvia and B, Sylvia's not in the thing no more. You know what I'm saying? And we find out like B is just like, yo, I can't do this because if there's shit in here that I don't know about, then there's clearly shit in here that the rest of them don't know about. So Loki ends up trying to convince Mobius about everything that's going on. As best as he can. Mobius slowly starts to catch on. Loki tells him like, "Yo, your variant." That catches him off guard. He doesn't believe it at first, but Loki explains it to the point where he does start believing him, and he's like, "Oh shit, you might have a point." So that ends up to Sylvia, Loki, B, and Mobius all teaming up to get the fuck out the TVA and find some way, which doesn't sit well with the judge as she's slowly starting to realize that Mobius is being a traitor, or Mobius is a traitor, and that B defected. And I think it was a guard that told her, or the guards realized it and relayed the message. So that essentially leads with both Loki, Sylvia, again running through the TVA. They actually get to the judge, and the judge is cool, calm, and collective, and letting them know like, "Yo, this needs to stop." You know what I'm saying? You got to stop this, man. So she eventually ends up saying, "You know what? If I'm remembering it correctly, I'm sorry if I'm a little off. I remember episode 6 on the brain. You know what I'm saying?" So that leads into them end up being picked up by the judge, yeah, because Loki was going through it with Mobius, but Mobius ended up getting probed. I think he got prone, whatever the case might be. They ended up vanishing Mobius to the void, and Loki ends up hurt, and then Sylvia just ends up with the judge through circumstance. So both of them are together again, and that's just fucking. You see Loki broken and destroyed because Mobius was essentially his best friend in the show, and Mobius got prone trying to help Loki. And, oh, don't worry about that. That's the Xbox. Don't worry about the Xbox. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even have time to shut it off. Do not look. Do not look. And the judge takes them up to the time bureaus, which is the group of 3 individuals that's supposed to be leaders of the TVA. And as they're doing that, as she takes them up there, we find out time bureau. We see the time bureau. At the time bureau. Yeah, no, the timekeepers. I'm sorry. We see the timekeepers, the leaders of the time bureau, supposedly, and you see that they're talking to them, trying to ask them questions. But B comes in, throws Sylvia a weapon. Beats up the 2 other guards, and that leads into a fight. You know what I'm saying? With Loki, Sylvia. B gets knocked the fuck out. Loki, Sylvia, the guards, and the judge, in which I think it's Loki. Somebody hits the timekeeper, and they find out they're robots. You know what I'm saying? Oh shit, the robots. Robots are in charge? Which the judge didn't know. So it throws her off, but she still doesn't want to be defective and defiant. So she essentially tells him, listen, beat the shit out of Loki and Sylvia, capture them again, and I'll see what's going on. And as they're fighting, they beat them. Loki and Sylvia beats the judge and all them. They have this cute little moment where they're trying to figure out what the hell's gonna go on and how they're gonna do it together. And then what we see is the judge shanks Loki in the back. Our Loki shanks our Loki in the back with one of the prone things, which leads to him being proned out of existence. And Sylvia and her just staring at each other like, why the fuck did you do that? And speeding it up because we get close to the end, and I don't want to make this video longer than it's got to be. I think this is the start of episode 5. Loki gets sent to the void. So we get two things. Loki gets sent to the void, and we see that Loki has bumped into other Lokis. The whole void is full of fucking Lokis. All them niggas Lokis. They all find out how to survive. I don't know how. We get introduced to this M'Baku looking ass Loki, OG Loki with the costume and everything, Kid Loki, and Alligator Loki, which I don't remember there ever being an alligator Loki, but you know what? Fuck it. Alligator Loki. We also see a frog Thor, but not too significant. You see him in a little jar, you know, trying to get his hammer. So Loki teams up with those Lokis. He chills with them for a little bit, discovering their stories and stuff like that. Like M'Baku Loki saying he kills Thor. OG Loki saying he went through the same thing as the other Loki, our Loki, Tom Hiddleston, and saying that, like, yeah, I fought Thanos too. Thanos did the same thing he did to me with you, with the whole snap and neck thing, but the only difference is I was stupid enough to really risk my life. So he made it an illusion, and Thanos killed the illusion while he snuck off somewhere and was lonely out in space for years, and just said fuck it one day and let the TVA capture him, and they proned him because he was just getting lonely. And then Kid Loki, we find out that the Void, which is essentially, let me explain the Void. The Void is essentially the place where they send all variants when they're no longer needed or when they have made a mistake in the timeline. They send them off to the Void, where this cloud monster Goliath or Gigalith or whatever the motherfucker's called, Giga Eye Dragon bullshit, he goes and he devours them, eats them, and they're gone from the timeline. You know what I'm saying? And we find out that he ends up, I don't know how he ends up there. I can only assume the person we get introduced to in episode 6 does it. But the monster ends up on Kid Loki's Earth and taking over completely, making that the Void. And Kid Loki stays, well, Kid Loki, I'm assuming, wasn't proned, but instead was left there on that world to be the only survivor. You know what I'm saying? But he could have been prone, but I'm saying because they say that this is Kid Loki's world, saying this was originally his world. You know what I'm saying? So I can only assume he was just there and he's just helping everybody. But we also find out Kid Loki killed his version of Thor too. Or he actually did kill his Thor, and compared to the M'Baku version, who might have been lying. But he kills his Thor, so which makes the little man the homie, which makes the homie the big boss. You know what I'm saying? Little niggas in charge. So going on from that, we get to Sylvia, where Sylvia is still with the judge. She's running from the TVA because they're trying to kill her because backup came. She was trying to get her to understand, like, yo, you still loyal to these motherfuckers when it's clearly not who they saying to be. She decides she's still going to be loyal and dedicated, but she's going to have to find information out on her own time. You know what I'm saying? So they're chasing Sylvia. They put her at a dead end. Sylvia says, you know what, fuck this. Prones herself and goes to the Void with Loki and all them. She ends up in front of the Goliath monster, which Loki and all the other Lokis are running from, or decide to hide out from. She bumps into Mobius. Mobius drives her away from the monster, and they're deciding, like, okay, now we gotta find our Loki. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, our Loki, I'm sorry if it's a little confusing. It's a show, it bounces around a lot. Our Loki, and I'm not doing the best to explain it, but you know, it is what it is. Our Loki is still with the other group of Loki, Kid Loki, M'Baku Loki, whatever the fuck my kid. We could call him Black Loki, but the motherfucker look like M'Baku, so M'Baku Loki. They're still on the base chilling, hiding out. Another group of our Loki gets bored of the conversation, decides to go up. Then another group of Loki, we see President Loki, who looks exactly like our Loki. President Loki bumps into them and decides that he's gonna take over the base, which we see that Mbaku Loki is a traitor and thought President Loki, which is the bad version, which is the more presidential looking version of our Loki, that they made a deal that saying the M'Baku Loki's be in charge if he helped them, which it all that just leads into this giant fuck fest of magic and deceit and lies just going at each other. So while they all just fighting each other because it ends up to a whole brawl, our Loki, Kid Loki, Alligator Loki, and OG Loki leave. They go off. They're doing whatever they got to do because they're like, you know what, fuck this. We don't got time for this. They're walking off, and Loki goes, I'm tired of running. I think I'm gonna go kill that monster that's eating everything and find a way out. They think he's stupid for this plan. They're like, so Loki, you think we didn't have this plan? It can't be possible. Loki ends up talking them into it. So they go on this little quest. It's not major. It's like they just start walking, whatever the case might be. And then eventually they lead to a cliff. Or they're already at the cliff. They go on a mini adventure. All I know is they go on a mini adventure where eventually they lead into Mobius and Sylvia, who rolls up on them. They're like, is that a car? Who's in the car? Why did the car stop you? Who's coming out the car? You know? And they find out it's Mobius and Sylvia. Loki introduces the other variants of himself to Sylvia, the female Loki, which he tells them about earlier. He's like, she's just really beautiful. She's really smart. She's maybe the best version of us. You know, whatever the case might be. So, I'm getting to that mark. So let me hurry the hell up. Essentially, hurrying it up. All the Lokis get together. Mobius gets together. They all have this conversation. They all talking, chilling, yada yada, vibing. They eventually get up to where the Goliath is. Sylvia changes the plan from trying to kill the beast to enchanting the beast because she was able to get into his head a little bit, and they do that. You know what I'm saying? But they separate. Mobius goes to the TVA to try to change it from within, and the Lokis decide to go fight Goliath. Well, it's only Sylvia and our Loki that's doing it, but you know the rest of them are tagging along for a little bit just to get them there and back, just to get them there, and they're gonna go back. They end up fighting. They fight the monster. They're trying to enchant the monster. OG Loki, even though him and Kid Loki left, OG Loki feels like he needs to help him. So he goes back and conjures this shit like, oh, blah, 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 blah. He's making this whole fucking Asgard out of his illusions. And that triggers the monster. And the monster goes and tries to eat the shit. It was fake. And eventually kills the OG Loki, which is sad. He murders the motherfucker. And then we get that once Loki, Sylvia teaches Loki enchantment, and they together enchant the monster, and then it reveals this fucking portal with a castle, and that leads to episode 6, which I'm about to explain real quick because this video is just a tad bit long and it gotta be. So zooming through it, they're going through the fucking castle, and I'm in love because this episode has just introduced us to the one and only motherfucking Kang. That nigga is in the MCU now. And we see that they go into the castle and the clock lady, who's a character in the show, introduces, stops them, tries to offer them a deal. They say, fuck you and your deal. And they meet the one that ends all. This black, funny looking nigga that's goofy as hell. And they're like, why is he so happy? They get introduced to him, who I'm pretty sure is Mobius, which I learned about from one of the comic dudes, who is Mobius, who's the older version of Kang that teams up with the Time Bureau. So when they find out he's alive, they try to kill him. Sylvia tries to kill him. He's unkillable. He knows what they're going to do, so he phases out before they can even do anything. And they lead into the whole episode is them just conversating, finding out his origin story, which is essentially him founding a variant version. No, variant. The dude they're talking to was a variant, and he discovered the multiverse stacked on top of each other, and eventually another version of him did the same thing. They always doing it. All versions of him were finding out the multiverse, and they ended up coming in contact with each other. And as they was coming in contact with each other, all of them was being friendly at some point. It was all peaceful, But in which he said, well, all the peaceful versions of me started showing up. So was the crazy versions of me. You know what I'm saying? So as the crazy versions of him started showing up, it led into a war. It led into a multiverse war. Eventually, he ended up winning. He founded the TVA to stop anything from happening. So as he's explaining his backstory, he says, you know what? This is all bullshit, whatever the case might be. You know, I know how this is going to play out. You may not know how it's going to play out, but I know. And he gives him the option of either you killing me and a bunch of devils pop up, a bunch of evil versions or good versions. There's just a bunch of me start showing up, and another multiverse war begins. Or you spare me, I give you control of the TVA, and you can keep the timeline in peace. Loki wants to spare him. Sylvia wants to kill him, and that leads to the two of them fighting. They're going at it. And it pops to the TVA where we're seeing B and Mobius trying to figure out what the hell's going on, why there's so many branches about to be formed. That's the last time they really show up importance at any given moment in this episode, because after that it leads to the shocking revolution, which I'm about to say. But they're still together. B and Mobius are still together. They're talking. They seeing the branches, but that's it. So back to Loki and Sylvia, because we're almost done. Almost like 5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Depending on how I explain it. They fight. Sylvia ends up winning the fight by throwing Loki out into the time bureau. So she goes and she's about to kill Mobius. I'm pretty sure it's Mobius. Whatever I said that nigga name was. The old version of King. She's about to kill him. And she's like, why are you not begging for your life? And he's trying to get her to understand, like, I'm gonna be back. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna start this multiverse war. I'm gonna end the multiverse war. I'm gonna be right back where I started. So she kills him and he goes, I see you soon. And yo, I was like, oh shit. So the series, the season literally, they already announced it's gonna be a season 2, but the season literally ends with fucking Kang dying. Sylvia like, what the fuck did I do? Loki getting back to the time bureau and discovering that Mobius don't know who he is. B don't know who he is. He's trying to tell him like Sylvia just fucked up and killed the dude. And now there's fucking branches of everything going haywire. And the fucking man that was in charge of it all is dead. And now he's saying that a bunch of versions of him is going to pop up and start murking people. And they're like, well, who the fuck are you? And Loki's like, but it's me, Loki. What? And he sees that there's a statue. And the statue is King the Conqueror in full gear and everything. Just minus the helmet. But he's in full gear. And I'm like, Kang is coming. And I'm hyped. Because if Kang is coming, then you know the multiverse is coming. And if the multiverse is coming, my son Miles Morales is coming. And ooh! You know what I'm saying? They could get Deadpool. I think they might make Deadpool a whole multiverse thing. We could get vampires. We could get the zombies. We could get a whole bunch of shit in the MCU. So they officially revealed that Kang is coming. Kang might be the new Thanos. Kang's got to be the new Thanos because he's the only one that can do multiverse shit. My thing is I'm interested to see how they do Kang. I'm gonna end the video with just this. I want to see how they want to do Kang because I never found Kang to be as threatening as Thanos. You know what I'm saying? Let alone the whole time and space nigga outside of Thanos. But you know what I'm saying? So they made Thanos really good. They could probably do Kang really good when they bring him into the MCU because he's rumored to be in Ant-Man and Wasp. But I'm just like, they're gonna have to finesse it because I don't find Kang threatening. But you never know what the bullshit he might be able to do. So yeah, but that's essentially my whole Loki review. It was a good ass show, amazing ass show. They're picking up for season 2. I'm hyped. I'm excited. I was bugging out like, oh shit, man. And then like, so I'm excited. You know what I'm saying? And yo, guys. That's the review. You know what I'm saying? Like, comment, subscribe. You know, share. You know, show some love. Keep a lookout. The next review is gonna be Black Widow. It's not gonna be just me talking. I'm probably gonna have some pictures on the sideline, maybe some videos. I don't know yet. I'll figure it out. Thanks you guys for just sitting in this super long video. I know it's been a little long, lengthy, just listening to me talk some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Just wilding. But I appreciate it. I love you all, you guys. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you guys next time.